The Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs is head 40 under the appropriation bill. Some $6,160,615,800 has been allocated. We take you over now.
Honourable members, we are at head 40, Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs. Head 40, Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs, $6,160,615,800. I will now invite the Honourable Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs, if he so desires, to make a brief opening statement for no more than 5 minutes, dealing with the priority areas of the Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs. Would you like to volunteer, sir? I now invite you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the expenditure of the ministry, as you just stated, in the region of 6.1 billion Trinidad and Tobago dollars. The majority of that expenditure is related to the subsidy for fuels. That is in the region of approximately 95%. The administrative cost of the Ministry of Energy is met by the Petroleum Impost under Regulation 73 of the Petroleum Act, and that works in a manner where the oil companies reimburse the Ministry of Finance for the administrative costs of running the Ministry of Energy. The subsidy for fiscal 2014 is approximately, we estimate to be 4.15 billion Trinidad and Tobago dollars. 4.15.
That's the subsidy?
4.1 billion Trinidad and Tobago dollars for fiscal 2014, which still has a couple days remaining, so it's a bit of an estimate. Of that amount, 3.5 billion is met by the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and approximately 0.6 billion is met by the petroleum production levy. This figure of 4.1 billion is a decline over the 2013 figure, which stood at 4.4 billion Trinidad and Tobago dollars. And that represents a 6% decline in the subsidy. And I wish to report to the Finance Committee that we have seen a steady and significant decline in the sales of subsidized diesel, where in 2010 the figure stood at 649 million liters. In 2014, fiscal 2014, we are now down to 514 million liters of subsidized diesels being sold, and that has contributed to a tremendous savings for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and is mainly as a consequence of the actions taken by the Ministry of Energy in the last 4 years to treat with the illegal trade in subsidized diesel. That concludes my statement.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, the question is that the sum of $6,160,615,800 for head 40. The Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs stand part of the schedule. Honourable members, the sum of $6,160,615,800 for head 40. The Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure and the draft estimates of development program. We get into subhead 01, personnel expenditure, and we deal with item 1, general administration. We go to subhead 02, goods and services. Item 1, general administration. I recognize the minister, the member rather, of Tobago Martin Northeast, and then point 410, and then the member for St. Joseph. The member for Tobago Martin Northeast.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, could the minister explain what head 28, other contracted services, is used for, And why is there an increase of $15 million?
Just speak a little loudly because I'm not hearing you.
Could the minister explain what head 28 other contracted services is used for on page 248?
Yeah.
Where there's an allocation of 38 million for this year, an increase of 15 million over last year. And could the minister also explain why you have such a high figure of $13 million for contract employment?
Yes, I'm the Honourable Minister of Energy.
And can you
Yes.
tell us whether in anywhere in your allocation for goods and services you have any expenditure for renewable energy, for solar energy, wind, wave energy, projects, subsidy, plans, programs dealing with renewable energy?
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. And just for everybody to be on the same page, on page 248,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
With regard to the question from the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Northeast, he first went to sub-item 28, other contracted services.
Yeah.
And the question had to do with the increase of $15 million.
And what's it for?
And what's it for? The main reason for that increase is provision being made for what we call our Minerals Ranger Squad, which is a provision that we are putting forward for policing those areas that
Is a
Trinidad.
new item?
Huh?
New item?
That's part of.
I
that.
know, but it's a new squad?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes,
I
it's a
just
new
wanted to
squad.
know
Yeah.
that, yeah.
It's a new squad. So that's what is proposed there.
Yeah, could you go to the next part? He's clear on that.
Wasn't that?
No, do
We
you have
also-
any? Yeah, go
we
ahead.
also have in there renewal of licenses for information technology, for IT. The ministry uses a lot of specialized software for reservoir engineering and so on, and we have to renew some of those licenses.
Okay.
The other issue
16,
you raised was
contract.
contract employment, which is sub-item 16. The ministry, between the years 2013 and 2014, you would have noticed an increase in the amount of monies for contract employment. That is mainly as a result of the ministry taking our returning scholars. A lot of those returning scholars are assigned to the Ministry of Energy in the fields of geoscience, law, and so on, and putting those people into contract positions. So that would have increased our contract employment expenditure.
Okay, but going back to 28 and my other question, where in goods and services do you have expenditure for renewable
Yeah,
energy?
sure. That expenditure is captured in our development program.
Okay, all right.
Right, so we could treat that when we reach
Right.
We
that
will
point.
deal with
Okay,
that
fine.
after.
Right, okay.
I recognize the member for point 40.
Chairman, I'd had my hand up first, so I beg to go back.
I really want to apologize for not
That's all right.
recognizing you first.
I just want to be able to go back to just one minor thing under
Yes, okay, so-
general administration, 8 vacant posts. Even though it's just $1 million, my concern is that we are able to fill the professional level positions. And because I noticed there was no expenditure in 2014, so my sense is that there's still some positions available, vacant. Are these professional levels?
Yeah. That's, yeah, we have vacant positions for contract officers in the ministry. The ministry is currently going through a restructuring process, which we expect to complete shortly. And once that is completed, we would seek to fill those positions.
May I ask us a further question to that? Are we able to retain our professionals?
I mean, that is not it's a well-known secret that the energy sector is quite possibly the highest paying sector in the country. And we struggle to retain people at the Ministry of Energy. That is not something that started today. It's been a historic thing with the Ministry of Energy. In 1999, I think it was, a professional allowance was introduced, which subsequently I think was also applied to the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Works. But we have to continually review the compensation for that Ministry of Energy, given the fact that we interface with such a high-paying sector.
Okay, is it that, looking at head 08 under goods and services, notice that there's an additional $7 million. Is there new accommodation also, is it new offices? Or?
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, we're looking
yeah,
at again
continue.
page 248, sub-item 08, is that rent, lease, accommodation, etc. There's an increase of $7 million. and that is we currently rent a facility in San Fernando for the ministry's South Office in the Masca building. We are acquiring more space from that landlord for Masca because the ministry is currently very cramped in San Fernando. San Fernando is also where the ministry stores our well files, and a lot of our seismic data is stored in San Fernando, and we have to ensure that's the repository of the country's history of oil and gas, and we have to ensure those things are properly stored. So we'll be getting more space in Masca, and we also have provision in here for renting an office in the eastern part of Trinidad and Tobago for the Minerals Division of the Ministry of Energy, given the fact that we need to have a greater oversight of what is happening in areas like Matura and Valencia and so on.
All right.
Looking further, sorry,
Yes.
at 62, even though there's a decrease in expenditure in terms of promotions, publicity, and printing, I wish to inquire about the types of promotions and publicity from the point of view that I don't know that the man in the street to whom these promotions would appeal is actually interested in any product of the NGC, the NEC, and so on. And I noticed that these are the types of advertisements that are out there. So I'm not sure if this is really benefiting the public. I mean, it's still an expenditure of 6.5 in 2014, and another projected 4.5.
Right. I wasn't too clear on what the question was.
I'm saying that even though I've seen a decrease,
Yes.
I'm asking what types of promotional and publicity items are these for,
Right.
bearing in mind that it's not that I don't think it really affects the man in the street, the kinds of promotions that I've been seeing under the Ministry of Energy
Well,
for NGC, Petrotrin, and so on.
NGC and Petrotrin's budget for promotion wouldn't be here. This is strictly the ministry. What we have recognized is that there's a need for the average citizen to have a better understanding, appreciation for how the energy sector works and how it affects his life directly. So we have launched some educational programs on television. You may have seen a couple of them. There are some of them running on the radio right now. And that is simply part of that entire promotional. Is that also conferences? Yeah, it also includes the publications of the ministry, right?
All right, we go on. Which one you are on?
Chairman, you had recognized me third.
Yes, I recognize the
Thank you,
MP for
Chairman.
St. Joseph.
Under 02 08 rent lease, you mentioned that you are renting premises from Masca.
Yes.
Could you tell me what is the monthly rental charge
Yeah.
and the size of the compound?
Yeah, we'll get that for you, member.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was Masca chosen?
Masca was, I don't know how Masca was chosen. When I became minister, Masca was there, but
Okay.
we could find out for you. But I believe Masca has been the home of the South Office for the ministry for a while.
Lovely. Thank
Prior
you.
to that, it was JAP's building on San Fernando.
Yeah, no, not you yet. I think I recognize St. Joseph.
No,
St. Joseph,
I
you
asked,
know?
yes, yes.
Libre?
Yeah, I just want to go back to 62. Can we
Yes.
get a breakdown of the promotions, publicity, and printing? I'm curious here. A breakdown of the.
So if on page 250, the household, that figure there, 4.4 billion in 2013,
Yes.
that is the petroleum subsidy.
Yes.
And that rose to 7 billion in 2014.
Yeah. Correct.
So it went from 4.4 billion in 2013 to 7 billion in 2014.
Yes.
What was
I will have, if you allow me to, yeah.
what was the
reason?
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, the monies that are reflected here on page 250, sub-item description 01, just so that everybody
Yeah.
is following, right? Those are the monies allocated to the ministry to treat with the subsidy. It doesn't include the levy, which is roughly about 15% of the overall subsidy bill. That's in the Ministry of Finance. The significant increase is that there was an arrears that was owing to Petrotrin, owing to how the subsidy is reimbursed, is that the Ministry of Finance reimburses the wholesalers, NP and Unipet, and they then reimburse Petrotrin. What had happened is that over the years, arrears had built up.
Please, please.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah, sorry.
Continue.
Please, yes.
Yeah, what had happened is that over the years, arrears had built up of monies owed to Petrotrin. And the Ministry of Finance over the last couple of years has sought to make provision in every budget to begin to unwind that arrears.
So, I want to get a clear picture of what the annual consumption is. So, was 4.4 payment without arrears? So therefore, that was the annual
Yeah.
consumption.
There was arrears in there too. Yeah, there was a component of that figure in 2013.
Could anybody
that,
tell
that
us
was
what
arrears.
5%, 10%, how
want to-
much?
Anybody else that?
Because what I'm trying to get at is what is the, forget the arrears, what exactly is the use of public money towards the subsidy? Is it 3.5 million?
Per
Is it
annum?
4 billion?
Yeah.
What is it?
About 3.5 billion would be what the government puts towards treating with the subsidy. The oil companies would come in with the levy, which is about 15% of the total sum, and that's about 0.6 to 0.7 billion per year. So we run
But
at
that levy is still public money once it's levied.
Yes, that's
It's still-
public
It's
money,
still
but-
levied, so
Yeah.
let's not separate them.
correct.
What I'm trying to get at, Minister, is what is the annual
Subsidy.
subsidy?
But
Without arrears.
Because
Yeah, without arrears, correct.
This because you're confusing me.
yeah, it ranges from, I would say, between 4 to 4.5 billion.
Okay, so
And it's a function, of course, member, of oil price, as you
And
know.
consumption, yeah.
And of consumption.
yeah, but let me ask you something. Not too long ago, we had a change in the pricing of fuel when we took the premium.
We increase the price of premium.
Yeah. Where can you show me in these numbers that that action had a significant effect on the subsidy?
Yeah.
Because that was the intention. We raised the price of the premium gasoline, and it was supposed to have reflected as a reduction in the subsidy.
Yeah.
Could you show me where that is happening?
Yeah, I don't have that exact figure now, but there has been some savings, but generally it hasn't been significant. What we have seen, of course, is as people have migrated from premium to super, I think it is about
More than 60%.
about six-
More than 60% from premium to super.
about 60% of persons who are buying premium move to super.
So in other words,
So there has been a
when
savings,
that
but-
action was taken, we were told that is what was going to happen, and it has happened. So we have not really had any significant reduction in the subsidy as a result of that.
It hasn't been it hasn't been significant. But I think the intention was, of course, to treat with that the persons who use premium are generally the persons who could afford to pay a higher price for fuel. The persons at the upper spectrum of the income brackets and so on. So I think it was in that was the intention. But there has been some savings, but I would agree that there's been a migration to super.
No,
Are we still on households or we can move
yeah,
on?
yes.
Okay.
Having been embarking on paying these arrears, where does that leave us, Ministry, NP, Petrotrin, on this matter? What's the picture there?
As I mentioned, what had happened is that a significant arrears had been built up as a consequence of NP and Unipet owing Petrotrin.
Unipet?
Well, they are both wholesalers, so they have to reimburse Petrotrin. And this is actually, I'm advised this formula methodology was something that you all came up with in 2009.
Why is Unipet owing anybody? Because Unipet is a private organization.
Yeah, that's how it's reimbursed by the Ministry of Finance reimburses the two wholesalers who then reimburse Petrotrin because they pick up this fuel at Petrotrin and sell it.
Right.
And they have Petrotrin, of course, Petrotrin has to be reimbursed because they are selling at an ex-refinery price. And the ex-refinery price is not what the consumer sees. So
the government owes Unipet from time to time?
yes, yeah, that's
And
a
then-
regular
and then- so when the
occurrence.
government doesn't pay Unipet, Unipet doesn't pay NP.
Unipet has to reimburse Petrotrin.
Petrotrin.
Unipet reimburses Petrotrin, and NP reimburses Petrotrin. So the reimbursement for the subsidy goes from the Ministry of Finance to the wholesalers, Unipet and NP, and they then reimburse Petrotrin.
I think this is a perfect subject for the Energy Committee of our Parliament.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I think it's a very good topic for that committee, really. Yeah, and that's why, it's a very, very good
It's
conversation.
exciting, I must say.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
actually,
It's a very
Mr.
good
Chairman,
area.
these questions are in fact
Yes.
valid because
Yes.
we did take action on
Yes.
this problem in the appropriation bill. And what I'm seeking to find out is whether the action had the desired effect. And I'm also trying to get, as the minister is quite helpful, in trying to get the picture, the nature of the problem subsequent to the action. Because the problem still exists.
Yes.
Huh?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, let me
Yes,
just, yeah.
I think I want to just bring in the command notice on this topic.
Understand.
Yeah, do a better job.
Which, yeah, sorry.
The command notice, please. Yes, you have my protection.
You're
Continue.
controlling the House, Mr.
Yes, I am. You must have some, people must have some freedom to relax too.
Okay, on 2014 revised estimate 007, Mr. Chairman, could you tell Lopino to stop talking?
Yeah, I think, when you sit down for too long, you get a bit
It's
uncomfortable.
always like that. So,
Yeah, but,
007,
yeah. Yes, I think you're now annoying me too. Yes. So could you just cool it and allow the member to speak?
00701, that same item. 2014 revised estimate $7 billion. What element of that would have been payment of arrears?
Yeah, you have a,
Yes.
Out of the 7 million, 3.4
yeah.
billion,
3 of that 7 billion, 3.52 was monies that the government of Trinidad and Tobago would put out to meet the subsidy liability in that year, and the arrears would have been 3.48 billion.
And those you haven't paid them yet, or you intend to pay them?
As far as I'm aware, there has been some payment to Petrotrin. I think it was in April and June, I think, of this year, yeah.
All right.
There have been 2 payments, yeah.
Okay. The $6 billion in 2015, is there an element of arrears in that, and if so, how much?
Yes. The arrears in that 6 billion is 2.53 billion in 2015.
After you pay the 2.5 billion arrears,
Please, members.
after you pay 2.5 billion in arrears in 2015, will you still have arrears?
There would be arrears, yeah, there would be arrears rolling forward into 2016.
What is causing this constant accumulation of arrears in the billions of dollars? What's causing
Yeah,
that?
there were, I mean, in my analysis of it, there had, in previous years, and this is going back,
Yeah, no problem.
this is going back historically, the amount of money that was budgeted for treating with the subsidy was never,
It was not enough.
was not enough, yes.
And it's
So
still, is it still not enough? Or
we
it's
are
enough?
now budgeting,
it's not enough still. We requested some 6.7 billion, so it's going to be an arrears of 0.7
yeah.
billion still outstanding.
The budgeting is now more realistic in terms of where we can't predict exactly what the subsidy would be, but we certainly have a more realistic assumption for subsidy in the budget now. So hopefully over time that arrears will be unwound.
Okay, and you answered the leader of the opposition with respect to super and premium.
Yeah.
You said 60% of premium users switch to super.
Yeah.
But super is far more subsidized than premium.
Yes.
So surely that would have caused an increase in the subsidy, the switch from premium to super, with a far greater subsidy on super than on premium,
Yeah.
would cause a nominal increase in the subsidy. not
Yeah,
a reduction.
yeah. Well, mathematically you're correct.
Yeah.
There has also been 49% of what we consider as the subsidy is diesel.
Right.
Diesel is really the big driver of the subsidy, and we've had some success, as you would know,
With the
regard to with the racket.
Right.
So I think that has overall contributed to bringing the subsidy down.
All right.
All right, let's go on. Yes, ma'am, point for that?
On that particular item, 01, if it is that we are projecting that the ultra-low diesel plant, sulfur plant, would be in fact be introduced during 2015, shouldn't there be an accompanying subsidy shortfall to match?
Subsidy shortfall?
Yeah, if we are in fact producing a higher quality diesel, wouldn't you then be looking at reducing your subsidy to the diesel market? In other words, the consumer can in fact get a better product?
Well, you're talking about quality as opposed to price.
Both.
I don't know if you're suggesting that we should increase the price or decrease the price.
I'm not suggesting, I'm asking you. Is
I
there a correlation?
I don't see it having an impact on the overall quantum of the subsidy. There will be an impact on the quality of diesel that is sold into the market.
But not on the quantum?
Not on the quantum. I don't see that affecting the overall quantum.
Okay.
All right, I think we have a good conversation there. Let's go on to item 9, other transfers. Item 11, transfers to state enterprises. Yes?
May I just ask the reason for the non-implementation of the Quarries Authority as was projected to take place in 2014?
The Honourable Minister.
And when is this likely to be established?
Yeah, my information is that the Cabinet, in 2006, took the decision to establish a Quarries Authority. And that has been put on hold pending the finalization of changes to the law, legislative changes. There's a draft minerals bill right now before the Ministry of Energy and the finalization of the restructuring of the Ministry of Energy. So that may be part of the restructuring of the ministry.
Yeah, the Honourable Member for Carneys.
Chair, on 011, transfer to state enterprises.
Yes.
I'm not too sure where Petrotrin falls in this 011 transfer to state enterprise. And if Petrotrin falls in this, where is the money from our victory on the World GTL in terms of the Petrotrin issue?
Can you answer that?
Yeah.
011.
Petrotrin is not part of the transfer to state enterprises, but
all right. So that's the answer. That's the answer. All right, we going on to development now.
Just one more question.
Yes.
And on item 03, just for my edification, and I'm sure the public as well, the environmental indemnity to the Power Gen Company of Trinidad and Tobago that continues.
Yeah.
Just give me a little explanation
let me just explain
on it.
that.
Yes, explain, yes.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair, for the
Yes.
for the quiet.
Yes.
When we sign the production,
Diego Martin, notice, I think it is still in the proceedings with whoever you're talking to.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes, continue, Honourable Member.
When the 1994 Power Purchase Agreement was signed, the government agreed to indemnify PowerGen with regard to any changes in environmental legislation that may come into in the future. In the year 2011, we had the various Environmental Management Act rules, the noise pollution rules, the water pollution rules, and so on. So whatever remedial work that PowerGen has to do, as a consequence of that, under the 1994 Power Purchase Agreement, the government has agreed to reimburse them.
Okay,
right?
Thank you.
All right, we go to subhead 09, Development Program, item 5, Multi-sectorial and Other Services. I recognize the member for St. Joseph, Diego Martin Northeast, Lebre, Point Forte, and Aruka Maloney.
Thank you, Chair. Honourable Minister, under Developmental Program 09, sub 003, Renewable Energy, $16 million for the 2015 estimate. How much of that money has been allocated to the feasibility study for the wind farm project off the coast of Mayaro and Manzanilla?
Honourable Minister.
Sorry,
sure.
That's fine on the page here.
Sure.
All right. 124, you're referring to page 124? Member?
Yes, Minister. Yes.
First of all, the $16 million that is located, the $16 million there is, and could I list some of the projects? Yeah, I just want to get a list of the projects. Sorry. Right. Yeah, that $16 million allocation, first of all, the ministry had actually requested $29.3 million for the following projects, but we only got $16 million allocated, so we therefore will have to prioritize these projects. But it's mainly for the hiring of consultants to conduct needs assessment for the establishment of a regional renewable energy research center in Trinidad and Tobago. And that comes out of a memorandum of understanding that we signed with the U.S. government. Two, it's to hire a consultant to conduct a needs assessment for the establishment of a local test facility for solar water heaters. Three, hiring consultant to conduct an analysis of the waste to energy potential for Trinidad and Tobago. And those come mainly out of our deliberations with international bodies like the IDB and the United Nations Environmental Program. There's also a project in there for the
Minister,
introduction.
is there any allocation
Yeah, coming to that.
for the wind farm project?
I'm coming to that.
Right.
All right. Well, if you want to answer that and stop.
No, I
But
think
that
you
was
should
the
just
question.
answer them
Yeah.
because we want to kind of move
That was the
quickly.
question.
The wind, yeah, thank you. The Wind
Yeah.
Resource Assessment Program, or the RAP, that is a project. It's a project which is a joint enterprise between the National Energy Corporation, the University of the West Indies, and the Ministry of Energy. The lead in the project is the University of the West Indies, and they have made an application to the Green Fund for funding that the Green Fund is currently considering. So that's where the funding for that
So
will
the
come
Green Fund will be funding
Yeah.
the feasibility study for the wind farms?
Yes.
Okay, so that's one. Two, the extractive industries transparency initiatives. The 2015 estimate of 4.1 million over the 2014 revise of 2 million, a doubling of the amount. Could you explain that, please?
Yeah.
All right,
That's
let me, no,
That's for
there are 5 hands before yours, so I want you to know that in advance.
Right.
Because you accuse me of not recognizing you.
You want to know why it is? Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I just letting you know, 5 before you. All right, so after St. Joseph, I'm going to Diego Martin Northeast, and then I'm going to Point 410, and then Labrie.
Yeah.
Are you through?
No, I'm going to answer St. Joseph.
I would like you to be very crisp in your responses because we are going until 12 and we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So these long introductions, we just give us the answer and let us move, please.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, and you'll help everybody. Right, so could you answer straight and direct the concerns of the member for St. Joseph?
Yeah, St. Joseph, member for St. Joseph, 4.11 million. That money is mainly for public awareness campaign, development of an electronic register. This is the computerization of the EITI process.
No, sir, I'm asking the wind farm project feasibility study. No, sorry.
just answered
Extractive,
Yeah,
sorry.
EITI.
I apologize.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry. Yeah, so I just gave the first
Yes,
two.
right.
And the final one is the completion and publication of the 2013 and 2014 EITI reports.
And finally, when will the wind farm project feasibility study begin?
We are waiting approval from the Green Fund.
Thank you.
All right, I recognize Diego Martin Northeast, and then we go to Point 410, and then Labrie, and then Aruka, and then Carneys.
Can I deal with IDF now or deal with that?
No IEF at the
No,
time.
consolidated fund, just a question.
Yes.
All right, coming back to this same
Yes, sir.
item there, renewable energy.
Yeah.
Could you itemize the solar energy projects that you are going to spend out of the 16 million? And
Yeah.
what is the objective of these projects?
Yeah, the solar energy projects, just to follow the speaker's instruction and be very crisp.
Yes, be crisp.
We intend to introduce solar photovoltaic panels and solar stills in 25 schools around Trinidad and Tobago in fiscal 2015. That is one of the projects under that $16 million.
Any other solar energy project?
No, that is the, from what I'm seeing here, that is.
Well, you
the-
spoke about a test facility.
Yeah, that's a consultant to conduct an analysis of establishment of a local test facility for solar water heaters.
What is that? What does that mean? Test facility for solar water heaters?
I'm not. Yeah, if you allow us, we'll provide you some more information on what
All
that.
right, I recognize point 410.
All I want is that you provide us with a list relative to 003 in writing. Yes?
003?
Yeah, the same renewable energy and energy efficiency initiatives,
Yeah.
I'd like just a list in writing circulated.
Lebre,
Yeah.
yes, you'll provide that, right?
Public buildings, 001, construction and upgrade of service stations. In 2013, roughly $9 million was spent, but in 2015, just $773,000. I would like to get the explanation, so what is the reason for that reduction? And secondly, given the scarcity or the shortage, acute shortage of service station in the Southwestern Peninsula offering CNG, I would like to know what plans the ministry has to construct.
On what item are you?
Is on us 003.
001,
001.
yeah,
Okay, good.
right, to construct or upgrade existing service station to offer CNG.
Yes, the Honourable Minister.
Yeah, okay. First of all, the almost $9 million in, that is for the construction of the Roxborough gas station in Roxborough. So that was monies that were allocated to NP for the construction of the Roxborough station. And the $773,000 is for the installation of a mobile pump and tanks for the Larufin fishing depot in the Moruga area. So we don't normally give NP PSIP funding, but in these two instances, we thought it was necessary for these two particular projects.
Aruka Maloney and then
I
Kani.
didn't yes.
Yes.
The second question in terms of the Southwestern Peninsula, given the
Sorry, yes.
CNMG.
The acute shortage of
CNG
CNG.
stations.
CNG stations,
In Southwestern Peninsula.
the National Gas Company is rolling out their CNG initiative as we speak. They have a list of stations that will be fitted with CNG compressors and dispensers and so on. And I'm sure that there would be stations in the Southwest Peninsula.
But they can't give us a time frame as to when that would likely to happen.
The procurement has already commenced. The RFPs are in the newspapers and so on as we speak. And we expect to have these stations with compressors and dispensers by 2015.
I recognize the Aruka MP, Maloney.
Chair, I'd like to pass. My questions have been exhausted.
Okay, I recognize member for Kani East,
001, same public buildings.
001.
Yeah, is there any line item for allocation for the completion of the administrative building in Petrotrin, for which there has been about 400 million spent already?
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
So that project has been, for all intents and purposes, abandoned, and it doesn't form any line item in this report. I think
All right, okay, we hear you. All right, we go on to Infrastructure Development Fund. I recognize point 40, Diego Martin Northeast.
Two questions,
Two
Chairman.
questions, yes.
007, construction of multi-fuel pipeline. This appears to be on its way, finally, but you have 100% increase in costs. So it appears to me to be substantial cost overruns because you have an actual of 152, then you went to 382, or is it a continuing project?
The project is almost at the point where we are about to commence commissioning of the project.
Oh.
We expect to commence commissioning by the end of the year. As you know, that's a project that has spanned many years, and we have no allocation, as you could see, for the project in 2015. So that signals that the project is almost at an end.
But if you said it commenced when?
We expect to commence commissioning. That is introduction of fuel into the pipeline and the filling of the tanks and so on by the end of the year.
So it's not a question of overruns, it just spanned over a couple of years.
Well, yeah, there was the project had several design changes. One of them being the movement of the Petrotrin leg of the project from the West Refinery into the East Refinery. That meant a pipeline had to be built across the refinery. There was a decision not to have a new rack in Pointe-à-Pierre, so that meant that the loading rack in currently had to be made bigger. And then there were, monies had to be expended for the acquisition of right-of-way and so on, where lands were not lands belonging to the NGC.
What was the extent of the cost overruns on this project, though?
Well, the project is at $1.1 billion right now. A lot of that had to do with design changes and the works that we had to do were designed as a consequence of design change.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
One final question.
One final question on 001 and the development of industrial sites. Do you have projected sites, and specifically what are these for industrial as against, let's say, your E-Tech Park? So what are the industrial sites
the
about?
40 million with regard to development of industrial sites is specifically for the Union Industrial Estate, right? And it treats with the relocation of persons who live in the radius of the proposed Mitsubishi plant who have to be relocated. And it also treats with monies to be spent on drainage works for Union Industrial Estate. And these monies would be transferred to the NEC for their execution.
Okay.
Member for the Gomata Northeast.
So, Chairman, I heard the minister say that the multi-fuel pipeline is at 1.1 billion.
Yes.
But of that, about 500 million would have been spent in the last 2 years.
Well, where's Mr. Edgel? The project was in a very advanced stage in the year 2010. Yeah. The cabinet approval, the last cabinet approval for the project under your administration was for about 700 and how much? 700 and cabinet? $762 million. The increase is as a consequence of design changes that were already in train in the year 2010. So the project has landed up now at 1.1 billion, but the majority of that would have been spent by the year 2011.
Okay, but I'm seeing 500 million in the last
Yeah, well,
2
I think that is to pay for.
It was committed prior to 2010.
Yeah, it was committed to prior 2010, but spent in that period.
All right. What is this?
What is that?
What is it?
The multi-fuel project?
Yeah.
The multi-fuel project entails the pipeline from the Point Pierre Refinery, the multi-fuel pipeline from the Point Pierre Refinery to Piaco. And then there's a facility at Piaco, which includes the tank farm in Piaco, which is what you see opposite the Caroni cremation site. And the loading rack, there's an automated loading rack in there. And there's a pipeline then from that facility to the Piaco International Airport that allows for Jet A1 fuel to be sent to Piaco.
So this was to provide fuel to the airport?
No, it's not just for the airport. The facility also has storage capacity for super, premium, and diesel.
Just in that location?
In that location, yeah.
All right, okay.
Honourable members, the question is that the sum of $6,160,615,800 for Head 40, Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs, stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $6,160,615,800 for Head 40, the Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs, now stands part of the schedule. I would like to thank you, Honourable Minister, on behalf of the Standing Finance Committee and your team for coming. Thank you very much.